Here's a segment from this month's edition of St. Charles Parish Today, a new monthly local talk show. The history of recycling in St. Charles Parish has had its twists and turns, with the biggest turn being Hurricane Katrina. The curbside recycling program residents once paid for through their water bills was washed away with the storm, with many recycling centers in New Orleans having been shut down. Since then, the chance to recycle has been available to parish residents through monthly drop-offs. Then, in March 2011, the parish began hosting permanent bins at various locations on the east and west banks. The popular program started with 10 bins and now has grown to 15, with parish residents making use of the service to recycle household materials such as cardboard, plastics, aluminum, and more through contractor Allied Waste. Today we have Allied Waste Municipal Accounts Manager Carla Swacker and St. Charles Parish Chief Operating Officer Rusty Walker to go over the do's and don'ts of recycling and how the effort fits in with an overall push for parish beautification. Thank you both for being on the show today to talk about this important issue.
Our pleasure.
So a lot of residents that use the recycle bins might want to know about the materials that aren't accepted and why. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, your website has great information on it, on what materials are accepted, such as the plastics and the newspaper, cardboard, and the metal containers. But a lot of people have questions when they look at material whether or not it's actually part of the program. Let me give you a couple of highlights on that. First of all, no glass products are accepted, and that doesn't matter if it's a beverage container or household glass like a light bulb or a window pane. No glass is accepted. Secondly, we don't want contaminated or soiled materials. If you're going to bring in, for instance, cardboard boxes, we don't want boxes that have material still stuck to them. We don't want materials that have two types of recyclables in it. Like it might be a piece of plastic that has metal with it into one unit, but we can't break that apart, so that's not recyclable. Plastics beyond the number 3, and if you look at the bottom of all your plastic containers, they have a number 1 through 7 on them. We accept 1 through 3, but not 4 through 7. Okay. So those are kind of the highlights. Anything that is not a consumer food product, can or bottle, is not acceptable. For instance, lawn furniture, toys, plastic toys, anything that's not a Coke can or a tin food can, we can't take.
Right, very good. And so for the people who may have done the curbside recycling back before Katrina, I believe they had to sort out their recycling, and you don't really have to do that with these bins. Can you talk a little bit more about how people should package their materials, so to speak, to go in the bins?
Well, the beauty of the new system, since we had to rebuild the facility after Katrina's damage, is that we now have what's called a single stream. All material can be mixed together, your paper, your cardboard, your plastics, your tin. All that can go in one bag, box, however you choose to bring it to the drop-off center. We will do all the sorting at our facility. So it's very simple in the household. It's the same commodities as before with the exception of glass. And you can put it in a plastic bag or paper or a cardboard box and just dump it in the large container.
Right, okay. So for the drivers out there, your guys, they come once a week to go and pick up the recycling. What are some of the issues that they have when they're out in the field doing that, and what can the residents do to maybe help their issues along?
Well, the residents do a great job of filling up the containers. I mean, we've had a wonderful success with this program. So if they will just containerize their material, put it in the bins, and if the bin happens to be overflowing at the time, think about just holding on to it and coming back in a day or two. Okay.
So the recycling bin program replaced the previous program that was just once a month with a truck out at 2 locations on the East Bank and the West Bank. Can you talk a little about how the program to have the bins started and then how it's grown over the past year?
Certainly. As you said, prior to, let's say, March of 2011, we had 2 sites, one on each side of the river, where people would bring their recyclable materials to those sites on a Saturday. We had certain problems with that, weather conditions where the trucks couldn't get there, other issues that we found that we needed to explore some other options. The curbside program that we had prior to Katrina We felt that we weren't quite ready for that at this point in St. Charles Parish. We wanted to see what would the participation be if we had another option. And we began exploring other options. We went out for a request for proposal. I think about 5, as I recall, 5 vendors responded to the proposal. Allied Waste was able to give us the best bang for the buck. They provide an 8 cubic yard bin that is picked up weekly. We have 10 different sites initially. We had 10 sites, 5 on the east bank, 5 on the west, located at various strategic places, primarily at recreation parks, 2 at 2 school sites where the public could have access to those sites. As a matter of fact, Hornville High School has 1 bin, and pretty much the students have taken it upon themselves to pick up their recycling, the paper, etc., every day. So they're doing an excellent job over at Hornville. Got to say kudos to those guys. The other sites are primarily recreation sites. The recreation department monitors those sites. They report back to those of us in the courthouse indicating where they have a lot of participation. So we've added some sites over the last year. In fact, you were saying 15 total. Right now we're at 16. We added an additional one in the Lakewood at Winn-Dixie on Highway 90. We have 2 bins there. So the program is continuing to grow. And we have a total of 16 now. What we foresee happening is going to not continue to add bins at those areas where we have high participation. We might have to increase the number of times that they come to service the area. They come on a Wednesday or Thursday. It kind of depends. But that's the way the system is now.
Right, very good. So this recycling program figures into some other efforts that the parish has taken on to try to beautify the parish and make sure we look as clean as possible. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, certainly. I guess there were 3 or 4 efforts that we started initially 4 years ago. The recycling was one issue. The Trash Bash, which is a program that we have twice a year, where we encourage people to go out into their communities to pick up trash that's along the highway and servitude areas, any area where they see some trash that for whatever reason is there. We just finished the Spring Trash Bash this past Saturday. In fact, we had a meeting today to discuss ways that we can improve on the system that we presently have. So the Trash Bash, recycling. There's a 3rd initiative that hopefully we'll be able to see, and it's been on the books for 4 years, and it's welcome signs. We would like to add welcome signs at all of the 11 entrances to the parish, highway entrances to the parish. We have done that primarily on the highway signs, but there are some monument signs that are going to be installed, and I think we're waiting for the contractor to begin work. Really, the council will have to approve and authorize. We're waiting for the Department of Transportation to give us the authorization that we can move forward. And the council hopefully will approve. It's a 75-25 split. The parish is responsible for 25% of the project, and DOTD will fund the remainder. So those monument signs, 2 of them will be located as you come off of the Mississippi River Bridge, East Bank, West Bank. And then there are 2 other, and we don't call them monuments, however, there will be large signs at Avondale, coming on Highway 90 as you enter the parish, into Zalman's when you're coming across the bridge there on Highway 90, and then the James Business Park, we'll have that there. So hopefully those 5 signs, we'll see construction within 6 months or so. It'll
be something to definitely look for in the next, like you said, the next 6 months.
Right.
All right, well, is there anything you'd like to add about recycling, or even if there's folks out there who are interested in curbside and want to make that opinion known, what can they do?
Well, I'd like to ask Carla a question.
Okay.
Because this is one question that you get and I get as well. And that is, well, in the past, we were allowed to have recycled glass. We were also there was no number on the container. Is that correct, Renee? I mean, What happened there? I mean, why is it, what happened with the glass, number one?
Well, glass is a commodity. When you look at what you should be recycling, it's obviously material that, first of all, there is a market for that you can sell, because it doesn't do you any good to pull it out and separate it if in fact you can't sell it. And secondly, it's to preserve natural resources that we hold and cherish. For instance, when you recycle paper, then you're cutting down less trees. Well, and when you're recycling plastics, you're using less crude oil to create new plastics. Glass is made out of sand, and sand is a commodity that's in common value and has really no economic value. So glass is a very difficult thing to sell. We can sell the white, the clear glass, but the colored glasses in fact have negative value. You have to pay people to take them. They really cannot be used for anything else, and most of the time they are discarded. And so across the nation, you're seeing all of the commercial and residential recycling programs going toward the elimination of glass. Now, while that may seem like a bad thing, at the same time, consumer packaging in glass goes down every year. So at one time, you know, almost everything we had in our homes was packaged in glass, but now it's all in plastics. And in the foreseeable future, there really won't be any glass packaging in the future. So it's something, even you know, your common beers and wines, the things that make up most of the glass now are coming in plastic and metal. The other question you had was on the numbering system in the numbering system. The numbering system's always been there. The thing that's trickiest about the numbering system is number one plastics, like your Coke bottles, don't have a number one on the bottom. They just have a button in the middle. And that's kind of our little inside thing of, yeah, that's a number one. But they really should have a number one, but they don't. But if you look at the bottom of your detergent bottles and your yogurt containers, you'll see a number on there. And things that aren't numbered, like plastic hangers, they're not numbered for a reason. They're not recyclable. As a plastic goes down or goes up in number, say number 5, number 6, number 7, these are specialty plastics. They have lots of chemicals impregnated in them so that they can serve specific functions, like be Tupperware, you know, where you can put it in the microwave and stuff. As a result, it really can't be recycled into anything else.
Another question. If those items are placed in the recycle bins, what happens to them? Where do they go? You guys are sorting that out and just disposing of it?
We sort it out and we dispose of it. From the routes that we collect in St. Charles Parish and the other area, we have less than 5% what we consider contamination or non-recyclable, which is an extremely good number. On the average in a curbside program, we would get 10 to 13% unacceptable material. So I think people are reading the instructions and following them. If they ever have any questions, they can certainly contact your office or our office, and we'll be glad to guide them, because we want them to recycle as much as possible.
Great.
Now, one thing I did want to add is, you know, St. Charles Parish has always been very progressive on their solid waste issues, standing up and doing the right things to make the community a better place, going to the carts for collection, having the bulky collection so that people aren't burning in their backyards. I mean, the parish has really done an excellent job, and I know that we were an early partner with you in recycling, and it was really difficult for the parish to come to grips with the recycling issue. But I think what you've done here is a remarkable thing, because we're collecting nearly 2 tons of recyclables every week from St. Charles Parish. And that is material that's not going into the landfill, that you're not having to pay for. That is material that's going back into commerce and being reused. It is a very important value statement from the citizens of St. Charles Parish to say, these are the things that we value: a clean community, a good way to pick up garbage, recycling the materials that should be reused. And I think the parish is to be commended for that.
Great, great, thank you, thank you. Yes, some of the concerns that I know early on, when you folks were telling us, well, now if you have crawfish heads that are in the bins, and you have debris, other kinds of debris, we're going to have to be tightening up a little bit. Well, guess what?
It's not happening.
We haven't had that to happen.
It's not happening. It's really looking good.
Really is.
Definitely, definitely.
The other thing that I'd like to just express is the people who do the recycling regularly, some of them, when they go to the bins and find that the bins are full and may not want to drive to another location, we're stating, put that recycle enough. Hopefully they're doing a good job. They're packaging them, or they have them in cardboard boxes so it's not flying all over the area. Leave them there, because every day, Monday through Friday, the recreation department have people in those areas, and they are instructed to either put them in those bins, and if they can't put them there, take them to another location. There have been times, especially during the holidays, where the bins are so full, all of the bins are full, that we're having to store it somewhere else. But it's just during that time of the year have we noticed that. But it's working out really well.
Good.
All right. Very, very good behind the scenes information as far as recycling. I did want to mention too, for those out there who may be watching, who maybe want to see curbside come back, what can they do to express that opinion? You know, we have the recycle bins now, and it's a feasible solution, but, you know, who knows, maybe in the future, if there's enough participation, that could happen. What can they do?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. Enough participation. We have to show that the cost-benefit ratio is there to be able to go to the curbside. Right now, we're not at that point. That's my opinion now, but it's coming. It's coming.
Well, you know, the cost for a curbside program is, you know, $1.80, $2 per house per month. This particular program costs pennies.
Right.
I mean, it's really, you know, for the people who really want to recycle, it's their opportunity to recycle. And as that gains momentum and a foothold, you know, they could create an opportunity. But as Rusty said, it's there's a big difference in the price, and we know people are price conscious at this time.
Right, definitely. Well, thank you both very much for being on the show. We appreciate the information and want to encourage everybody to go out there and recycle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Catch the entire episode right here on Channel 6, daily at 5 p.m. or watch anytime at scptoday.com.